Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's been having a great Tuesday. Let's see who we got in chat. Sorry, I just very quickly had to take the trash out, so I was running basically. Hi, Seth. Hello, Raven. Thank you for the 10 stream streak. Hi, Mouse. Hi, Behemoth. Thank you for plucking a Pikmin. And thank you for the 15 stream streak. Let's see. Hi, Clay. And I think that's everybody who's typed. And of course, hello to everybody else lurking in the chat. Today, we have a bit of a different stream here. Oh, it's Mr. Foster. Thank you so much for the follow. How you doing? How you doing? Oh, I think is it the first time you finally seen the new follow animation on stream? If it is, that was done by the very talented, always lovely. Goodness, I need to remember how to pronounce her name. Pipolari. Absolutely love her work. I love commissioning her, and it's so cute. I love that animation so much. But today, or tonight rather.
Lovely snoot. Very boopable.
Yeah? Sound winded? You're standing taller, though. Glad to see you. Yes. Today has been a day. I thought I was going to get my new car today. Turns out they didn't have the car on the lot. That's coming tomorrow. I had to talk to a lot of different people. Work wasn't fun, but I'm here. Hold on. Excuse me. But I'm here. And you know what we're here for? We're here for the one of these guys. One of these guys. Where's my PNG? We're one of these guys. The both of them, technically. So, as many of you know, if you've been checking out the streams recently, which if you haven't, why not? You would know that as of last Sunday, we finished up the last of the Sam & Max remastered trilogy. We're done. There are no other Sam & Max remastered games, and by proxy, we've done every single mainline Sam & Max game. We've done Hit the Road, we've done Save the World, we've done Beyond Time and Space, and we've done The Devil's Playhouse, and that's all the Sam & Max games that there are. With that, however, I wanted to take the liberty to share my opinions in a bit more of a long-form way, and in a much more rambly way. I'm very sure, actually. Oh, trust me, I'm very sure. Oh, God, the fucking Soda Poppers song. Okay, I'm gonna take a sip. Sip of soda, actually. So, I figured to, I guess, really round everything out and just get all of my opinions on Sam & Max's trilogy in 3D, because I'm not going to be discussing Hit the Road on this, but I figured, hell, let's do a tier list. Tier lists are fun, in my opinion. I know they're kind of an overdone style of ranking stuff. Hello, Shaw. But as overdone as they are, I still find them fun. So yeah, I did I do this last night, or did I do this on Sunday? I might have done this on Sunday. Either way, I have this prepped. So this is a public tier list that any of you can actually access. Just look up Sam & Max Telltale / skun'kape episode tier list maker. And you too can make your own Sam & Max tier list. Actually, I think it'd be cool if, like, more people made their own Sam & Max tier list. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Thank you for the health check, Seth. Let me go ahead and... So yeah, let's let More Than Jerks finish. Cool. So, unfortunately, it did not put all the episodes in order, so I'm going to take the liberty of doing that, I guess, while I explain all this. So, literally all this is just every single Sam & Max episode here in a list format.
But can I hop on a VC to only judge Hit the Road?
Oh, we're not judging Hit the Road. That's the thing, we're not judging Hit the Road. We're only doing the skun'kape remasters / the Telltale trilogy. Spoilers, by the way. Heavy spoilers for this entire stream. Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's just a reason why you should go play the game. Go buy the trilogy. Buy the trilogy. Sam and Max, the Telltale trilogy, remastered by skun'kape Games. The complete trilogy, now only $47.73 on Steam. Get 3 AAA games for the price of less than 1. Play the games. Oh man. But yes, I can very much assure all of you, heavy spoilers up ahead, especially for the very lore-heavy chapters of the later games. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty heavy spoiler stream. So if you don't want to watch, I don't blame you. If you just want to lurk, by all means, I, again, do not blame you. But yeah, we're going to go over every single episode, what I liked about them, what I didn't like about them, and rank them on a tier of, that's going to happen, rank them on a tier of S through D. Obviously, y'all know how tier lists work. If you don't know how tier list works, what rock have you been living under? I hope you have fun ranking the episodes. God damn, working with a friend. Yeah, right on, man. Foster, I'm glad you're here. If you want to stick around and lurk, or if you just want to, if you want to dip, ain't no problem either way, man. I appreciate you stopping by. Should rank the original show next time. Ooh, that's the thing is, okay, so I follow somebody called Super Mary 64. She used to run a Tumblr blog based on Sam and Max, based on like a hypothetical season 4. And they recently uploaded a YouTube video of ranking every episode of the show. Maybe I'll do that next time. I also was originally going to do this with a friend of mine who was actually here for a lot of the Devil's Playhouse streams in the chat, Stripe Stash. I asked them if they wanted to join, and they said maybe, and then ultimately, I went ahead and did this today. So yeah, that hasn't happened. that in fact is not going to happen. Either way, like I said, this tier list is public. Oh, there they are. The MacGuffin episode is my favorite. Hell yeah. I love the MacGuffin episode. How you doing, Striped? Hey, Striped, even if you don't want to join me on stream, this tier list that I made is publicly accessible. If you go to tiermaker.com and you search for Sam and Max Telltale / skun'kape episode tier list, you should be able to find it. And obviously, if y'all are familiar with Sam and Max, I'm afraid I gotta dip, haven't played Devil's Playhouse. Yes, I do not blame you. Like I said, the very heavy spoilers for this entire stream. Hello, Alice. How you doing? Good to see you. But yeah, like I said, very heavy spoilers. You're good? Good. Personally, I prefer the Sam and Max Nintendo DS game. What fucking alternate reality are you from? I mean, there's a Wii game. Want to make a pin about spoilers? I'll do you one better. Let me save you some effort. Whoops. Spoilers for Sam and Max. I'm going to start, like, because, we're going to start with Save the World. So I'm gonna put this warning here at the bottom. And then we'll change it. Yeah, spoilers for S. So I'll go back and I will change it depending on what is being discussed. Go ahead. Yeah, that's my font. That's Gigabyte. I love Gigabyte. Gigabyte might genuinely be like, I'm so happy I found this font. It's so good. Gigabyte 2, actually, it's called. So yeah. Now we have this, and let me go ahead and give it a little bit of an outline. Where is the outline? There it is. I don't know why it defaults to giving a white outline. That's, like, the worst color to give. There we go. All right. So, I guess, without further ado, let's get into the ranking. This is your last chance. If you don't want spoilers for Save the World, leave now. Again, you can mute the VOD, or you can mute the tab rather. Don't mute the stream. You can mute the stream, you can, or you can leave altogether. I'd prefer it if you just muted the stream. But I guess let's start with episode 1, Culture Shock. What an appropriate name, because this episode still catches me off guard whenever I play it personally. There's something about it. Maybe because it's before everything got solidified. It's before, well, first of all, it was the first Sam & Max game after, God, how many years was it? It was after a long, long time, because the original Hit the Road came out in, I believe, 1997. So, from a jump like that to something like Save the World, that's a pretty big leap. I mean, times were different, there's different pop culture references that could be made, different types of humor that are being established. They have to kind of rebuild Sam and Max in a weird way, which, for characters like Sam and Max, you wouldn't really expect. Like, you don't expect them to really need much reconstruction, but in a weird way, there is this massive reconstruction. Something that I feel like people don't really address with Sam and Max is, in every iteration, there's almost a different dynamic between the two. So you have the original two, which are kind of on the same level of a chaotic nature. They're both very unhinged, they're rude, they're crass, they don't swear, but they're oddballs. They're funky and weird, right? And that's part of their charm. That's part of why people love Hit the Road so much. Then you have the cartoon where they're operating on a different level of weird, in my opinion. Like, the Sam & Max in Hit the Road and the Sam & Max in Freelance Police, the cartoon, they're different kinds of chaotic. Like, I almost feel like the chaos of Hit the Road is very much dependent on Sam & Max say a sort of off-color, off-the-wall joke. And there's sort of that, it's Sam & Max who are weird characters interacting with... Hold on, one moment. Okay. So, we should be back. I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to give the best piece of advice I'm ever going to give. If you're ever selling your old car or buying a new car, clear your schedule of everything you ever want to do in your life for the next week. Fuck cars. Fuck American infrastructure, the roads specifically. Public transportation should be cheap, if not free. Because, frankly, this is fucking ridiculous. Buying a new car has been one of the most stressful and painful experiences I've had in my life. So anyway, back to what we were doing before. We're back with the Sam & Max tier list. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody is having a much better Tuesday than I've been having. Hi, Seth. Hi, Squeaks. And hello to everybody else who is funneling their way back into the chat. We're going to snooze that ad. We're going to go ahead and snooze that ad. I don't see myself getting a... I do not blame you, Raven, but also you live in the UK. You can genuinely bike. My stream streak reset. No, you're kidding. You're fucking kidding. Oh, because you didn't activate it on the last one. No. Oh, I thought you live in the UK. Why did I think that you were British? It's been a long day, Raven. So yeah, fuck cars. Fuck cars and fuck everything to do with them. I genuinely hate them. And I hope that, every single road in the world, stops working so we're forced to use public transit. And I hope that public transit becomes free. So as we were doing before, we're back with the Sam & Max tier list. Yay, 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 yay. So we were in the middle of talking about Culture Shock. Thank you guys for being patient with me. Glad I don't have a driver's license. I wish I lived in another country. God, I hate being American sometimes, even if it's for like the pettiest of reasons. Anyway, so talking about Culture Shock. Thankfully, I didn't get too far into discussion. You know what? I got thrown off my groove, but we can get right back into it. I'm not Cusco. I don't get thrown off my groove and then throw a hissy fit. So, talking about Culture Shock, and specifically talking about how there was a difference jumping from each different iteration of Sam & Max. Oh no, Zetterly, I totally get it. I'm the same way. I hate driving. It is much to the shock of everyone I know but they do, like, everyone I know in my life, like, people on the internet, they get it. People in my life, like my family, my, like, you know, IRL friends, they don't get it. And I don't get why they don't get it. Either way, we're not going to focus on that because that's just going to get me upset. So yeah, culture shock. So, well, okay, the thing with Sam and Max is, from Hit the Road to the TV show Sam and Max Freelance Police to Sam and Max Save the World, there were all these different dynamics of Sam and Max, right? The characters interacted with each other and the world differently. And this is what I meant to say earlier with Hit the Road, is that the big thing with that is that it's Sam and Max, who are wacky characters, interacting with a very wacky part of the real world. You know, not everywhere was realistic, but I mean, there is really the world's biggest ball of twine. You can go to circuses and meet the fire-breathing man and see these really odd attractions. You know, it's like the weirdest the point of the first Sam and Max games was to make the weirdest parts of our world seem almost normal by comparison to these off-the-wall weird characters. Sam and Max are extreme oddballs to such a degree that they make something like, I don't know, the mystery vortex in what was it, like Washington, look totally normal. Can we skip this song because I hate the soda poppers so much, like everyone does? Yes, the cartoon was meant to also match the same sort of weirdness. But above all this is the interactions between Sam and Max. I mentioned before, Sam and Max in the first game, they interact with each other in a very straightforward, kind of odd, you know, very oddball manner. Their jokes and their interactions derive from them saying, hey, that's a weird thing, that's a funny thing, that's not how that's supposed to work, or something along those lines. But they don't say it in a manner of confusion or, like, you know, bewilderment. They act like it's, oh, that's a thing. Anyway, on to the next weird thing. When it comes to Sam and Max, a Freelance Police, the cartoon, a lot of their interactions and comedy derive from them basically reacting in the most extreme ways possible. Okay, there's a monster in your freezer, blow it up with bazookas. Weird shit like that. Your favorite snack has been discontinued? Better track down the health inspector who got them discontinued and torture him until he lets them back on the shelves. When it came time to save the world, though, both literally and the game, when Sam and Max came back for the Telltale games, it was, you know, they had to figure out the dynamic between these characters. And what they ultimately decided was that Sam was going to play a slightly more straight man role. Max was going to be the one being the outlandish, wild character, while Sam was going to be mostly a mediator in this situation. He is the player character, so it makes sense for him to kind of bridge the gap between the insanity of the world they're in and the reality that the player experiences. Gonna move to bed? Alright. Seth, you enjoy your lurk. But with Culture Shock especially, I feel like it sets an almost slightly different tone. And I feel like that's because this was Telltale finding their footing. This was them sort of realizing, how do we bring these characters into the modern day? What do we do? What do we joke about? What do we say? And for that, Culture Shock is fine. I like Culture Shock. It's a fun chapter to replay. I'm still not used to William Caston not being Max in that episode, despite it being a Telltale game. It's very weird to not hear William Caston's iconic Max voice coming out of that iconic Max design, but either way, I still feel like it's a fun episode. It introduces the soda poppers, to the chagrin and disappointment of literally everybody around who plays this game. The soda poppers are easily the... Okay, I have opinions about the soda poppers. Specifically, I feel like they were an overplayed joke. I feel like they were enjoyable for a good bit, but I feel like by this point, the end of Season 2, where there's a big reveal, which we'll get to, the soda poppers outstayed their welcome. Yeah, I feel like it's very hard to find somebody who likes the soda poppers. That being said, a lot of cool stuff is introduced in Culture Shock. Things like Bosco's Convenience and Sybil, characters that, even I can say are some of my favorites in the Sam & Max franchise. I like Culture Shock. Brady Culture is probably one of their more forgettable antagonists. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really remember a lot about him aside from him just being a washed up 70s celebrity. I feel like the soda poppers, it's more easy to identify what they're parodies of. Like, they're parodies of child actors, right? But what is Brady Culture? He kind of looks like Bob Ross, but what is he supposed to be? Who is he supposed to be? What does he represent? The rest of the chapters, when they parody something that is identifiable. What is Brady Culture? That's a genuine question. Not existential, literal. Overall, I think Culture Shock is fun. I don't dislike Culture Shock. It's a good chapter. I enjoy playing through it. It's just, I feel like it's a foundation for what Sam & Max was after a hiatus that, God, was a pretty damn long time. I mean, what? Hey Siri, when did Sam & Max Save the World come out? Let's find out. So it was an almost 10-year hiatus for Sam & Max. Mainly because a lot of games got canceled. There were 2 Sam & Max games that were pitched, one of them getting 80%, at least 80 to 90% complete before being completely shelved by LucasArts because they didn't want to make point and clicks anymore. 2 games being completely canned, and Telltale having to make their own studio find their footing and completely, establish their name. And then Sam & Max are back. So I feel like it was yeah, it really was. It really was. And it sucked. Culture Shock is a fun chapter. Putting it against every other episode, I feel like I gotta give it a B. It is an episode, did I say chapter? It is an episode, rather, that I don't mind coming back to. I like it. It has funny jokes. It establishes fun characters. It establishes bad characters. But overall, it's not unenjoyable. I don't look at this chapter and see, oh God, I gotta play through this if I want to play through the whole game. I look at this as, okay, I gotta play Culture Shock. I like Culture Shock. Brady Culture's a bland villain, and the soda poppers make me want to blow my brains out. But we got Bosco, Sybil, Max's old voice actor. I really wish I could remember his name. I feel so bad for not remembering his name. Ultimately, we have what is a very solid foundation. An extremely good baseline for what is a fun Sam & Max game. I like it. I don't think it is too obtuse with its puzzles. I don't find it's obnoxious with its jokes. You know what? I'll even say it. As much shit as I'm talking about the soda poppers are totally fine in this episode. Soda poppers are totally fine. I don't mind them in Culture Shock. They serve the most purpose in Culture Shock, and that is the biggest compliment anyone can give to the soda poppers. Moving on to episode 2, Situation Comedy. I am not a fan. I'm not gonna lie. I know I put it in the stream title. I don't care for situation comedy. And I find it kind of one of the weaker chapters of Sam & Max overall. Mainly due to the fact that there isn't too much I can remember. I can see people saying this is their favorite episode. I can understand it. I can totally get it. It's just not for me. Remember what I said about Brady Culture and how I don't find him to be an endearing or memorable villain? Apply that tenfold, well, maybe not tenfold, but apply that like twofold to Myra. There was Featherly. Featherly's a fun character. Featherly is a great character even. I love Featherly. A very funny character, and a recurring character that I genuinely enjoy from this early in the game, who even makes it all the way to the final episode of the trilogy. I enjoy Featherly. And you know what? I love Midtown Cowboys. I like some of the jokes. Hell, I feel like this is where we really start to get a peek at just who Hugh Bliss is. Who is this strange man with prismatology that totally won't go on to be the main villain of this season? There is a lot of good things in situation comedy, but they don't pertain to situation comedy itself. I don't find the puzzles to be too endearing. There's some funny jokes. Like I said, Myra's not great, but I do like Midtown Cowboys. I like Featherly. I remember being very lost, both in my first playthrough and my replay through in that final puzzle against Myra. And I don't know why, but it just keeps throwing me off. And I think part of the reason why it throws me off is because it's so boring. It's really goddamn boring. How am I doing? I'm hanging in there, and I'm trying to not think about today with this stream. Mainly because I've just been running around doing a bunch of shit. Either way, hi, dumb kobold. Yeah, go ahead, stir the rabbits. I'll stir right back at you. Again, there are a lot of things in situation comedy that I do enjoy. I find funny. There are jokes, there are characters, there are moments that do stick with me. But the chapter as a whole is just there. It's just kind of in season 1. You play Save the World, you're gonna play situation comedy, you might forget about situation comedy. And I'm sorry, I gotta harp on it again, Myra is probably my least favorite antagonist. And I mean just in terms of memorable. Yeah, you know what? That just kind of goes for Save the World. Save the World is the most Sam and Max chapter ever. It's not the best, it's not the worst. That whole season, rather, not chapter, that whole season certainly is the most Sam and Max season ever. I don't want to put situation comedy too low, but I would not give it a B. I would not be able to sleep tonight if I gave situation comedy anything above a B. Again, I don't see anyone really going gaga for this episode. No, absolutely. Sam and Max in general just gets much better as you go down the line, but situation comedy, I really think situation comedy just is not as fun as Culture Shock. In a very weird twist. I mean, this was the first chapter with William Casson. Episode. Why do I keep saying chapter? First episode with William Casson as Max, and he is Max in my opinion. Him and Rob Tinkler are the Max VAs in my opinion. They are the definitive Maxes. And his first appearance as Max is one of my least favorite episodes so far. I don't hate it. I don't want people to think that I hate situation comedy. Because again, Featherly, who wants to be, or what was it? Who doesn't want to be a millionaire or something like that? Midtown Cowboys, Cooking Without Looking, Hugh Bliss. The director, I think, has some funny moments. Hell, the moment where Max fakes his death and Sam makes him cry with the quote-unquote tear gas. There are really good moments in this chapter. Episode. Why do I keep saying chapter? I swear to God, I'm gonna slap myself if I say chapter one more time. Situation comedy is nowhere near bad, but it's also nowhere near my favorite episode of season 1. I don't know if I'd say it's my least favorite, but so far it definitely is. Moving swiftly on to the mole, the mob, and the meatball. I like this episode. I kind of feel similarly to how I feel towards Culture Shock. It's just another chapter where I get why people like it. I get why people would say it may be their favorite episode of season 1. It's not mine, but I find a lot of moments here very enjoyable. First of all, Leonard. I think Leonard as a character is really funny, and the fact that they make a reference to Telltale's Poker Nut by saying he looks more like a Boris. Yeah, love Leonard. Harry Molman. I feel like they teeter on Harry eventually becoming a soda popper situation, where he's just a bit too much of an overplayed joke. But by the time we get to the Devil's Playhouse, Harry somewhat redeems himself in his comedic value. Harry's not funny, but in this episode, it's arguably him at his higher points. I like Harry in this episode. I think he's funny. The fact that the quote-unquote mole in the mob is a real mole and not like, you know, someone giving insider information, I think that's funny. I don't really get why they make the hypno teddy bears. I don't think they ever really properly explain that, and if they do, it is kind of a blink and you'll miss it or a very dull reason that I just couldn't be bothered to remember. That being said, I like the mole, the mob, and the meatball. You know, I like casinos, you know, let's go gambling. Aw, dang it. But I enjoy the setting. I think it's fun. There's some obtuse puzzles. You know, I found myself not getting lost, but I don't know, I feel like there's a decent bit of back and forth. Actually, that is something that I don't like about situation comedy. No, sorry, that's something I didn't like about Culture Shock. There is a lot of unnecessary back and forth traveling. Like, Jesus, to get into the, what is it, the hospital for former child stars? Good lord, that was a snooze. The Mole, the Mob, and the Meatball has a little bit of that, but it's nowhere near as bad. Actually, yeah, situation comedy had that too. Mole, the Mob, and the Meatball dialed it down. Yeah, Harry Molman is fun. The Teddy Bear Mafia is fun. The musical number, dude, the musical number. The first time we get a musical number in Sam and Max, and it's you, me, and Teddy Bear. In fact, can we throw that on real quick? Can we throw that on real quick? You, me, and Teddy Bear. This song is genuinely kind of a banger. I like it. I think it's a very funny musical number. Let's go ahead and just throw that on in the background while I continue talking about it. Hello, Twitch Italiano. Yes, we're ranking. Whoops. Yeah, we're ranking. Okay, if Twitch opens that page one more goddamn time. So yeah, this song is so good. I love this song so much. But yeah, the first time we get a musical number in Sam and Max, and it's this fucking goofy ass song. I love it. I actually love the Teddy Bear song. I think it's fun. Listen to this shit. It's fun. It's not my favorite musical number from this chapter. Trust me, we're getting there. But for now, I like this chapter. I think it's fun. So far, it's the best episode of Save the World. Then we get to what actually is the best episode. And subsequently, the chapter that has the best song number. Here's the thing. I like Bright Side of the Moon, Reality 2.0. Oh my god. Abe Lincoln Must Die is the funniest and most appropriate Sam and Max episode. Something so ridiculous that tackles things in a political light that feels ambiguous yet so absolutely targeted. Oh my god, this chapter is great. I find Abe Lincoln Must Die to be the penultimate of Sam and Max episodes. It is funny, it's ridiculous, it has a stupid concept that absolutely works, and it takes twists and turns you would never expect. Like, shit like, okay, first of all, the president being a robot, the fucking Abe Lincoln statue also being a robot, but it has, like, actual sentience needing to be... Max becoming president of the United States! And yes, my favorite character of the Sam and Max sidecast. I'm not even kidding. Agent Superball is my favorite character of the sidecast. He has been since Abe Lincoln Must Die, and he has remained so all the way up until The City That Dares Not Sleep. I love Agent Superball. He's so funny. Now, I will be the first to admit, this chapter does have... I did it again. This episode has some obtuse puzzles. I feel like there are some things where you'll kind of get just a tad bit lost. Also, let me put on the regular Sam and Max music. There are some there are some bits where you might get a little bit lost, in my opinion. You know, I definitely have my fair share of kind of wandering around, not knowing where to go, what to do, and all sorts of stuff like that in this episode. But fucking hell, the writing, the directions that this episode goes in, you never know what's gonna happen next. If you haven't played this episode yet, you never know. You're never gonna guess what happens next. It's one of those things where you're just so bewildered by all of it. And I love it. That's why it's my favorite episode. To me, this is penultimate of Save the World. This is penultimate Sam and Max. The commentary is great. The fucking jokes are amazing. The musical number. This is my favorite. Good For You, Good For Me, the war song, is genuinely one of my favorite Sam and Max musical numbers. I love that song, and it's so dumb. It's the dumbest of any Sam and Max song, and that's why it's so good. Abe Lincoln Must Die is an easy S tier. That is an episode where I go back to play Save the World, and I look forward to playing Abe Lincoln Must Die. Also, come on. Abe and Sybil are a really funny couple. And the fact that they got fully realized and explored all the way up until the end is one of the funniest running jokes of anything in these games. I fucking adore... I just love Abe Lincoln's characterization. He's hilarious. I think it's fun. I think it's fun. This is the chapter I think of when I think of Save the World. If it isn't for Culture Shock and Bright Side of the Moon, here's the thing. I feel like when thinking about a game like Save the World, you're gonna remember the beginning, you're gonna remember the end, the middle is totally up to you. It depends on if there is a really good standout episode. This is that really good standout episode. I love Abe Lincoln Must Die. It has some of the best jokes, the best moments, the best characters. It has the best musical number in all of Save the World. I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's fun. It genuinely has moments that I think are the Sam and Max moments. It is the episode that makes me think of Sam and Max. I find it the funniest, the most insane, the most off the wall, just completely batshit insane, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It is political commentary and satire from Sam and Max in a manner that only Sam and Max could do. It's not too serious. It's not like trying to fucking, beat around the bush either. It's that perfect blend of political satire and commentary that makes you, no matter where you lie on the political spectrum, you gotta laugh. Shit's funny. Shit's really funny. Reality 2.0. Okay. Middle of the road is not a good enough word for what I would call Reality 2.0. Let me get goods out of the way. I love the cops. The cops are funny. I think there's some of the funnier characters in Sam and Max. I mean, good God. Bluster Blaster? Bluster Blaster, if it wasn't for Super Ball and Mama Bosco, good Lord, Bluster Blaster would be my favorite character of the sidecast. Yeah, we are useful! That's such a dumb musical number. It's definitely my least favorite, but, it's funny. It's not meant to be good. The We Are Useful song is not meant to be a good song. There are a lot of good references as well. There's the Mario one. Hell, the whole thing kind of predicted something like VR chat. I know it's probably closer to something like Second Life or, shit like that, but oh my God, the fact that it just really, really predicted VR chat and the ease of accessibility for something like, VR with companies like Meta. Yeah. Kind of freaky. Did The Simpsons predict VR chat? Yeah, VR chat for boomers, not wrong. But yeah, there are some fun puzzles. I find the one with Bosco and his bank account to be a fun one. It's not really like obtuse. It's not easy though. It's not too easy, not too hard. And you know what? I can appreciate that. It's a fun, ridiculous puzzle that it stands out in my mind. Plus the firewall thing with the having to paint the car the right colors, and you just have to really, really look and notice that the license plate tells you what colors it needs to be. That's fun. That's a good puzzle. The rest of it, There's a thing about Sam and Max where, at a lot of points in the game, they will reuse characters, whether that be models or characters altogether, because they just didn't have the budget to add more characters, even if they wanted to. You get that a lot. You get that quite a bit. I feel like the most obvious one is the Myra model being repurposed as like a virus blocker. They kind of poke fun at the fact that it just is Myra, but man, it's just I do love Bosco being a half-elf, and by the time he's in the game, he's literally just half human, half elf. Oh, there's good for you, good for me. I do think that's funny. The internet's fine. Is she just the director's model? I swear, she just looks like the director from Situation Comedy. Like, that is all I think of when I see her. She's just a green version of that. And I think it's fine. It's an okay repurpose of an old model, but I also didn't find the internet to be an interesting character. I will say this definitively. This has the best final chapter of probably of any Sam and Max game. The fact that you play a text-based adventure game in your point-and-click game that runs on terminal, like a terminal-looking text screen, that shit's funny. That shit's really funny. That actually bumps it up, in my opinion. That ending, I always look forward to it. I honestly, I'll go back into the game just to replay that final chapter. There are a lot of funny potential jokes in there. I didn't get to explore them all in my playthrough, but good lord, I can see people getting lost for like a solid hour looking for all the jokes, all the weird little things they could do, seeing the dialogue options. It's funny. It's a funny episode. That ending is great. Again, I just don't care for the internets. The cops are fun characters, but I think they're an example of characters that get better as time goes on. Some characters in Sam & Max kind of get worse as they're used more and more, but the cops are the exception. They get better. I find them more enjoyable by the time they show up in Beyond Time and Space. Reality 2.0 is a fine beginning for them, but this is definitely sort of establishing them before we really get to see them at a better potential. I don't know, if I had to really rank... Cops had a good song. No, they didn't. They had a funny song, not a good song. How you doing, Vano? I don't think I could put Reality 2.0 in B. I feel like the ending saves it from a D. I feel like it's a high-ranking C, though. It's a high-ranking C tier. So the closer it is to the letter, the higher the rank it is. Situation Comedy still... Oh god, Situation Comedy might be the worst episode of this entire season. Uh-oh. And I was explaining the whole time that I really didn't think Situation Comedy was the worst, but maybe it's the worst of Save the World. Now moving on to the final episode of Season 1, Bright Side of the Moon. If you didn't figure out by this point that the main villain was going to be Hugh Bliss with all the hints they were dropping, you are ambivalent as all hell, to an upsetting degree. And you know what? I kind of like Hugh Bliss as a villain. Hugh Bliss is one of those wacky, off-the-wall characters that I think works pretty well as a Sam and Max villain. Is he the best antagonist? Probably the best antagonist. No, he's not even the best antagonist to save the world. He's one of the better antagonists of the Sam and Max games. Again, a character that gets funnier as the episodes progress, and this is his penultimate episode. This is where Hugh Bliss shines the brightest. This is haha, gay. You see what I did? You see what I did? You get it? This is where we get to see peak Hugh Bliss. He's evil. You kind of could have gotten that based on how he acts. He's kind of out there and strange and weird. Max's vices. I love Max's vices. There is an artist that I follow on Tumblr named Lizard the Artist, and they've created basically all the 7 sins as Max's vices. right? Because, you know, in Bright Side of the Moon, we got, what was it, Wrath, Sloth, and, it's not called Hunger. What's it called? Greed, Lust, Gluttony. Thank you. We get those. And oh my god, Lizard does some of the coolest stuff with their interpretations of the other vices. Gluttony voiced by Kesha. God, no. Fucking Kesha going, where are we going now, Sam? But yeah, I like Bright Side of the Moon. The vices are funny. I think prismatology getting explored a lot more. That's good. I think getting into the retreat is some of the funnier moments. There's a lot of cool puzzles. I think pulling the rat out of the hat and then Feather being like, oh my god, I'm never going to do that again after basically showing off that they can do it. That shit's great. The tic-tac-toe game against the cops is one of the funniest jokes. I love that shit. Abe Lincoln asking Sybil out on a date. That shit's funny. The final battle can be confusing. I will be the first to admit it. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think it's fun. It's definitely a sort of aha moment when you figure things out, and that is cool. I enjoy those kinds of puzzles, but I also feel like it can be also be a bit daunting with what it's asking you to do. It's not demanding a lot out of you, but I feel like some of the things in the puzzles are a little kind of obtuse, kind of ridiculous. Hi, Sasha. Abe Lincoln asking Sybil out led to one of the weird. Yes, and I love it. You know what? You know fucking what? That actually brings it up. That actually brings it up a point, in my opinion, because it really cements Abe Lincoln's head and Sybil Pandemic being a canonical couple. And you know fucking what? That is one of the greatest relationships in this fucking franchise. Holy shit. I love them. I adore them. Would I put it in A? You know what? Here's the thing. I like it more than Culture Shock, and I do like it more than the Mole, the Mob, and the Meatball. I'm gonna go back at the end of this and I'm gonna reorganize everything, because maybe the Mole, the Mob, and the Meatball is a B tier. For now, I'm leaving it A, but maybe it's not as good as I think it is. You know, I really gotta take into account everything. These are just initial impressions. And with that, this is my ranking for everything in Sam & Max Save the World. Overall, I like this season. Save the World is a fun season of Sam & Max. I do like it. It's just that it's kind of obvious that this was still where they were finding their footing for Sam & Max. Thus, we get some of the weaker moments in the series. Some of the less laugh-out-loud, gut-bustingly funny moments. I'm not saying that everything here is bad, it's just that we get we're probably gonna see less C's and B tiers. But here, we've got a B tier and two C tiers. You know, again, this is all subject to change, but hopefully moving forward with Beyond Time and Space, we're gonna see less of this. Less of that. Again, I love Save the World. Save the World is fun. Save the World is a great chapter of Sam & Max. But when they closed it and they opened up the next chapter for the next game, Beyond Time and Space, I feel like this is really where we got the ball rolling. But not right off the bat, because the first episode is Ice Station Santa. Look, there are funny moments. The personification of Santa is not one of them, because I think he's just kind of a bland interpretation. I'm not saying that I don't like Santa, but it's sort of a culture shock situation. Feels more like it's made to be a foundation rather than something more. But I feel like this has less of an excuse. We have 6 episodes to use as a foundation. And yeah, why do we kind of gotta restart from the bottom? I get it's the first episode, but who's playing Beyond Time and Space without playing Save the World? Yeah, finding the 4 horsemen is a bit of a pain in the ass. But you know what? I will say this. Us seeing the old NPCs from the first game is fun. I do like seeing Bosco and Sybil and everything like that. It's fun. I think that Bosco's bomb disposal system, that's a fun puzzle, if a little bit annoying. The fact that he thinks his mom is trying to kill him, that's great. And yes, of course, how can we forget two of the best NPCs introduced in this season? The Mametron 9000, who just kind of gets repurposed into something totally, completely different. And of course, that's true. Yeah, there's a lot. We have Flint Paper, who is a Sam & Max staple ever since the comics. I love Flint Paper. My God, do you guys know how absolutely ass ugly he looked in the original? Because fun fact, when Steve Purcell was giving feedback notes to skun'kape, because when they were doing when they were making these games, they were asking Steve Purcell, hey, do you have any design feedback opinions for us? Do you have anything that you want changed from the Telltale games? I want to show you all something. What he would do is he would draw over the original models with changes that he wanted made. So, notice how much he really wanted changed out of Flint Paper. I just want to point out, the original, he is lumpy, he's weird, he is nothing like what Flint Paper's supposed to look like. So Steve said, y'all fucked up my mans. Please don't make him look like a, absolute flesh golem, and make him look like the cool noir guy he is supposed to. And you know what? I think they did a pretty good job. I think they had a nice blend of what Steve wanted and what they originally wanted. He looks like Max Payne. Yes, in the original, more than anything else, he is far too soft. He also has that Jimmy Neutron head going on. Good lord. Yeah, he's chiseled. I feel like they just kind of got him more correct. They got a better head shape. His eyes aren't as whatever the fuck is going on there. They did right by Flint Paper, which unfortunately they just didn't really do to begin with. We're gonna go back to these design sketches, because trust me, there's one where to me it is such a glaring difference that it is fucking night and day. But the thing is, Flint Paper doesn't really get used in Ice Station Santa. He gets used more as the games go on, but it's too early to say Flint Paper's a great part of this season, because no, he's not. He doesn't do a lot. He does a lot later, but by the time of Ice Station Santa, he's introduced and kind of that's it. He has as much plot relevance and screen time in Ice Station Santa as he does in Hit the Road, and he's not even on screen in Hit the Road. The Mametron 9000 gets more screen time. The Shambling Corporate Presence gets more screen time. I think that's kind of an injustice to a character that's been there ever since the comic books. Oh my god, do I not like Ice Station Santa? I'm coming to this realization. Holy shit. I'm gonna say this. We're gonna put it in D for now. Because again, it's got the same things of Culture Shock where it feels like it is supposed to be a foundation for the rest of the season. But this has less of an excuse to be a foundation, because we already have a foundation of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes. 6 1.5 to 3 hour adventures. I do like things about it. I don't like the elves, but you know what? They're intended to be ugly. They're intended to be these horrendous creatures of the night that give you fucking nightmares. Maybe I'll put it in C. Maybe it's a low C tier, high D tier. I'm not gonna lie, I really think they could have done more with Santa. I really think they could have done more with the idea of Santa, but this Santa just feels kind of like a stock, ooh, Santa Claus. He's kind of militaristic, and he's not all you think he is. He's not all, oh, yo, ho, ho, I'm so happy. He's just, And you know what? This introduces something. This introduces what I call the tacked on third act. Because here, or the tacked on final act. There are a few episodes in the Sam and Max series where I feel like if they end right before the final act, they would have had a much stronger episode. If they ended right before Santa got possessed, I feel like it would have had a stronger ending. Now, I do like the final encounter with Santa, despite it being absolutely the easiest puzzle to solve, in my opinion, just annoying with its timing. But it's one of those episodes where I feel like they had something good, and then that final bit, that last thing you're left with is just kind of, We're going to re-explore this concept again. Trust me, there are other episodes where I feel like they had a tacked-on final act that does not work strongly in its favor. I have mentioned it before, but we'll get back to it. If it happens, we'll bring it up again. Moai Better Blues, Episode 2. It's a bad I don't really like this one either. I don't care for... Here's the thing. This one feels the most disjointed. This feels like the episode where they had a lot of funny ideas and said, hey, is that a wall? And is this... What's this? Is it shit? They threw everything at the wall, and whatever stuck. The problem is, everything kind of stuck. Everything they threw at the wall for some reason stuck. Now look, I want to say this. Whatever I say that is negative about this, it does not reflect my views on the developers, because I want to make it abundantly clear. I love all these games. I love Save the World. I love Beyond Time and Space. I love the Devil's Playhouse. I really love the Devil's Playhouse. I absolutely have a bias towards the Devil's Playhouse, but I'm not going to say it out loud. Did I say it out loud? But there are just some things that I felt like, especially in the earlier chapters, or the earlier episodes, they had some shortcomings. They had some strong suits, though. They had some great episodes. They had some great episodes. They had some really good episodes, and they had some fun episodes. But then you have stuff like this, and this, and this, and this. Here's the thing. I feel like if they kept things a little more consolidated, a little more condensed, and a little, weirdly enough, streamlined, it would have been fine. But you know what it is? There's too much happening. We get the introduction of Girl Stinky. We have the babies of all these people who've been lost, like D.B. Cooper and Amelia Earhart. You have the Moai heads. You have the portals, the Bermuda Triangles. You have that one baby gangster. I forget who he's supposed to be. I know he's not Al Capone, but we have that one baby gangster. You have the sea monkey people. You have Max being crowned like, a high priest. You have the... Here's the thing. Yeah, Jimmy Hoffa. You have the weirdest, not the worst, the weirdest antagonist in Mr. Spatula. I think Mr. Spatula is a really funny antagonist, and admittedly, he's like a highlight of this episode. But you just have so much. You have the Fountain of Youth. You have Baby Sam and Max, which, hey, that's exactly what I wanted to mention again, because look, in my opinion, even more fucked up than Flint Paper. Look at what they did to Baby Sam in the original. Oh my god! What did they do to him? He is the ugliest baby of all time, and they really I need to point this out. Look at the left versus the right. Look at the right. That's Baby Sam. That is Baby Sam to me. You know what that is on the left? That is a creature. That is an alien. And they really did right by him. Oh my god, they did right by him in the remaster. Look at him. That's a boy. That's a child. That's a little man. I love him. He's so good. Oh my god, they did so much right by him. Whoops. They did so right by him in the remaster. Oh my god, they did so much more right by him. Again, I totally get it. Time constraints. Budget constraints. Oh my god, they made him so ugly as a baby. My big gripe with Moai Better Blues is exactly what I said before. It's too much at once. There's so much happening. And it also has, in my opinion, the worst puzzle in any point and click I've ever played. And it's the one where you have to hit the gong in Stinky's, in the Stinky diner. After painting it red, I don't even remember with what, but you paint a gong red, and then you hit the gong, and then it opens a Bermuda Triangle portal, and it's just such an obtuse puzzle, and it's the only way to get Baby Sam and Max there. It's the one puzzle where I remember it, but I only remember it because it genuinely is so obtuse and ridiculous. It is the one puzzle in all of these games, and I'm even putting all my cards on the table, before we get to these. It is the one puzzle that I would say is the worst puzzle in this entire series. I like a lot of things in this chapter. Fuck, I said it again. I like a lot of things in this episode. I love a lot of things in Moai Better Blues, but they don't go together in a cohesive way without them needing to be jointed together. Like Baby Sam and Max. It literally feels like a Frankenstein's monster of an episode, both in a good way and a bad way. Because, hey, the missing babies, Bermuda Triangle, that makes sense. The Moai heads, sure, that makes sense. Baby Sam and Max, huh? And the sea monkey people, huh? Max is a high priest, huh? And Mr. Spatula, this is where he, huh? Also, the world's gonna end. It's D. I'm sorry, it's D. I'm really sorry. If there are any skun'kape and Telltale devs watching this, I don't know. This might be the weakest chapter. It's not bad. It's not bad. I don't hate it. It just might be my least favorite episode of Sam and Max of the entire series, though. Moving swiftly along to much more positive views, however. Because my goodness, I love Night of the Raving Dead. If not for the title alone, I think this is one of the best puns. Yeah, people, I love Jurgen. I think Jurgen's funny. Jurgen's great. I love the zombies. I genuinely, I really enjoy this. This is another one of those episodes where I think about it and I think, yeah, this is the right amount of ridiculousness. Jurgen is such a Sam and Max character, in my opinion. He would only exist within Sam and Max. And because of that, I think he's funny. I love Jurgen, dude. He's just, again, he's one of those characters. And I like how he comes back multiple times. We don't get to just, drop Jurgen like he's nothing by the time we're done with him in Night of the Raving Dead. He's a funny enough character that they reuse him even into the next season. I like him a lot. I think there's a lot of good jokes. Super Ball returns in one of his better capacities in this season. I think he's funny. I enjoy this season, or I enjoy this episode. I really like it. I think it's fun. Dare I say, this is one of those episodes where I look forward to playing it every time I do. I want to bring this up. Now, this only happened to me, as far as I'm concerned. When I was playing this episode, we had a little incident. Let me just go ahead and pull this up real quick. We had something very, very funny happen. So we should grab the holy water. Let me go ahead and just, from the top, my friends. My goodness, look at that old model. This happened to me live on stream. I cannot explain what happened. Also, we should grab the holy water.
Look away, Max.
Was Sam in the car?
Vandalism that turns your stomach.
Nonsense.
What?
I embrace all kinds of vandalism.
Oh. They're ghosts! Oh, man. Where's... Whoa! Whoa! Sam and Max freelance teleporters. Yup. I am not doing that. I really wish I could explain what was going on. No? Okay. Come on.
What did I do?
I genuinely thought I was gonna have to restart the game. And boom. There you go.
Why did clicking on the DeSoto? Why? Can someone?
I really wish I could explain. I really wish I could explain what was happening there. I don't think there is the words. I don't think there are enough words to like explain that. And I really hope I can show that off. Or listen, I hope a skun'kape dev is watching, because what the hell was that? But even that being said, you know what? That is a funny enough glitch in a funny enough chapter or episode that I can forgive it. You know what? A tier. A tier episode. What happened was the game. You know what? You're right, Qualified. I'll say, how you doing? I love it. It's not the best chapter in Beyond Time and Space. But good luck. Oh, maybe it is. We'll see. I love it, though. There are, again, few obtuse puzzles. I think the soundboard one, I feel like it's kind of a guessing game sort of thing, but I can forgive it. It's fun. It's funny. It's got some of the better characters. I love the monster. Sybil, that Sybil dude trying to rebound off the fucking Frankenstein's monster. Or I guess it's Jurgen's monster. I think it's all funny. Now the final two. Okay. I want to point this out. When I was getting pictures, when I was getting these images, what is this fucking image? Let me just hold on. Let me just. What is this image for this episode? What is this goddamn image of just Bosco getting fucking abducted? I love it so much. It's such a good picture. I want this framed. I just think it's such a good render. He's so lifeless. I love it. But let's see. What was this one called? Chariots of the Dogs. Chariots of the Dogs. I've only seen the latter part, but so far my favorite part is definitely Salmon Mac. We'll get to the Tomb of Salmon Mac. Chariots of the Dogs. I feel like they teeter on another Moai Better Blues, because they have a lot of things introduced in this episode, but weirdly enough, they do stick. Because the big thing is because they're asking questions and playing with time travel. Or they're answering questions and playing with time travel. The time travel is fun. I think Sam and Max traveling around in a time traveling elevator on the spaceship belonging to them is really cool. I think it's fun. The reveal. We're gonna get to the reveal of who them is. But there's an introduction to, if not for Super Bowl, would be my favorite character in Sam and Max. I love Mama Bosco so much. I know that woman has a vendetta against any and all man that enters her vicinity, but good lord, that woman makes me fucking smile. I am smitten by that woman. How she could produce Bosco is beyond me, because that man is such a wreck of a human being, and she is such a perfect fucking angel. I love Mama Bosco so much. Sorry. Well, actually, she's not a doctor yet. Mama Bosco is great. Even in this episode, actually, like in this episode especially, her introduction is such a high point, and she only gets better. She's great. I think she's hilarious. Oh, man. Other than that, though, hell, seeing future Sam and Max is fun. Fucking Sam turning into fucking Davros with dementia, which, yeah, if you read that one fanfic, you know why that's sad. The photorealistic bunny face is definitely an upgrade comedy-wise. I think it's fun. You get to go back to previous episodes. You get to go back to Abe Lincoln Must Die. You get to go back to, what was it? Oh, you get to go back to, no, you don't get to go back to Mold 'em Up and the Meatball, but you get to go back to earlier Sam and Max episodes, and that's cool. Yeah, and as Vano Gaming said, it's fun fucking with Bosco. Yeah, you get to go back to situation comedy. That sort of bootstrap paradox is funny. Shit's great. I think it's hilarious. I love it. I love it so much. The reveal of them, however, THEM. I don't hate them. And I mean that both as I don't hate them and I don't hate THEM. I think they're fun villains. I think it gives context to the birthday thing. Did somebody say birthday? That's funny. I don't know if it really needed an explanation. You know, it's a situation of like, God, what's that one saying? Either way, it's like a saying that kind of alludes to like you don't explain a joke, but they do it in a way that is still funny in its own way. Catch you later, mouse. I think they're funny. I like. There's a really good puzzle involving one of them when they go to celebrate Superball's birthday. It's fun. They do really fun things with this. I think his motivations are super funny. That's the thing. All the antagonists in Beyond Time and Space do have funny setups. Some of them just don't really pay off all that much. Some of them do. And you know what? Some of them really do. The ending is fine. I don't really remember much about it. The mystery, some X missing brain screw is the end of an episode. Yeah. Yes, I believe so. If I remember correctly, if you're referring to what I think you're referring to. This is a fine episode. You know what? Dare I say, this is a solid beat here. I had fun with this episode. There's not much I really remember about it, but there's not much where I'd say, oh, I don't like this episode. It is a solid, fun, good time. I would go back and play this and be like, yeah, I'm fine playing Chariots of the Dogs again. I would not put up a fuss. I meant to say I wouldn't put up a fight and I wouldn't, I wouldn't, y'all know what I mean. Moving on, however, to the final episode of Beyond Time and Space, we're making pretty good time. If we get through all these in about a half hour, I'd say it was a pretty solid. Hell, if we get through all these, if we get through the rest of this in like a half hour and just have a little discussion about the games as a whole, do some reorganizing and get this done in 2 hours and stitch it with the last VOD, hell, I'd say it's a pretty good stream. I'll bring that back. I'll bring back that brief play along me when we get to the Tomb of Seven. But yeah. Shit. What's new, Beelzebub? Wow, the fact that I can really remember all these episode names, even without seeing them. I like What's New, Beelzebub. I think it's just an episode where there are, again, some moments which are just a little less memorable. It's not that the whole chapter isn't memorable, or the whole episode isn't memorable. God damn it, I did it again. It's just that... I don't know how to explain it. But What's New, Beelzebub has a lot of really good moments, and then some moments which are just eh. I think that Satan is a fun character, but I think they kinda knew that Satan just couldn't really hold his own all that much, which is why they used him here, and then they brought him back here. Kind of like out of obligation. It's like, oh yeah, Satan's here. Okay, cool. Yep, let's bring him back. There are a lot of funny jokes, though. A lot of funny jokes. Look, love them or hate them, because good lord, they're in practically every single one of these episodes, and you gotta hate them. The soda poppers being the big baddies of this entire season was pretty funny. Yep, Leonard, seeing Leonard again. Fucking Hugh Bliss. I'm sorry, Hugh Bliss and the censoring thing, that shit's great. Seeing a lot of old, seeing villains from previous episodes is fun. Let's see. But yeah, the soda poppers were fun as sort of the reveal of the big bads, but look, the final third of this really pales in comparison to Bright Side of the Moon. You look at final episodes of Sam and Max seasons, and Bright Side of the Moon has a lot more going for it. Satan playing second fiddle to the soda poppers is fine, but not the best. I do like all the characters' personal hells. Grandpa Stinky. Grandpa Stinky's awesome. I love Grandpa Stinky. He's great. The fact that his personal hell is being second fiddle to Girl Stinky is awesome. Man, they really wanted to reuse the cooking without looking set, huh? Yeah, okay. The ending's not great. The fact that you have to make the cake of the damned, which is kind of an obtuse puzzle. Then the soda poppers fall for it. I will give this episode this. It shows Abe Lincoln and Sybil getting married. That is your reward. And you know what? That's a damn good reward in my opinion. I wanted to see those two get hitched. But yeah, I hate to say it. I really hate to say it. This episode really isn't that great. It's not that it's bad. That's the thing. This is just this episode has a lot of high points. And it's not one that I would dread. It's not something like Reality 2.0 or situation comedy where I'm like, fine, I guess I'll play it. It's more so, it's a low B tier. It is an episode where I just kind of remember it's there and I'm like, yeah, okay, I gotta play What's New Beelzebub if I want that ending. But you know what? Here's the thing. The devs were self-aware. The devs were very self-aware about the soda poppers because they teased the fact the soda poppers are coming back. Just wait for Sam and Max season 3. Oh, never mind. They got burned alive. They show Peepers' eyeballs separated from his body. They could never come back. They are literally disintegrated, destroyed, eviscerated. They're gone. And you know what? That's pretty fucking funny. Has its moments, especially with the personnel. Yep. I think it's great. Fucking, dude, Jimmy's son, Jimmy Two Teeth's son, I think that's great. That's a hilarious bit. The fact that when you change what's a swear, he can actually say it, and it turns out he was never, like, is it the fact that he's never been saying anything bad, or just, now it just doesn't need to be censored? Love screwing with Bosco? Yes, it's so funny. The fucking do you have any? He's like, I am standing butt naked on a stage in front of people being watched constantly. Do you think I have anything? Do you have any? And he's like, I really am in hell. That shit's funny. That shit's hilarious. This episode has great moments. I know Mama Bosco, but who's regular? Have you not played Save the World and Beyond Time and Space? Bosco is her son, who we know throughout the entire the first two episodes, or the first two seasons. Bosco's the owner of Bosco's Inconvenience. He gives us all of our horrible gadgets that are absolute dog shit and range from the quality of a cockroach that can mimic people's voices to a tissue that he sneezed in. These are all real. Yeah, this is a solid episode. It's a funny episode. It's a good time. It's not the best. It's a low B tier, but still a B tier. You know, as much as I was kind of sounding like I was gonna be a bit more negative towards this episode, it was funny. Only see some, I'm like, oh, well, hey, did you know that on my group's YouTube channel, The High Cards, you can actually watch a full playlist of my playthroughs of Sam and Max Save the World, Beyond Time and Space, and The Devil's Playhouse. You should go check it out. But now we move on to the cream of the crop. These, I'm gonna get some spoilers out of the way for the stream. It's gonna be a little hard to find something negative to say about the episodes from The Devil's Playhouse. Starting off with the penal zone. There seems to be a trend with first episodes in seasons for Sam and Max. Both in Ice Station Santa and Bright Side of the Moon, there's this establishment, a return to form. The whole penal. The whole point of the first episode is to reintroduce audiences to the dynamic of Sam and Max, the gameplay, what there is to be expected. There is an establishment. Culture Shock's biggest fault is the fact that it was the first of the 3D Sam and Max games. Yeah, exactly. the SE is a censor bar now. That's how you spell censor, right? SENSOR. Culture Shock's biggest thing is that it tried to establish a lot that ultimately it's kind of a gamble of whether or not it would stick. Someone like Brady Culture wasn't really fitting. The soda poppers, while fitting, were kind of annoying. there was also a different voice actor for Max, which is still so goddamn off-putting. Ice Station Santa's biggest issue is the fact that it was an unnecessary reintroduction of the characters, the gameplay, everything. Also, the angle they took wasn't really all too great. Some stuff was left to be desired. There wasn't a lot really going for Ice Station Santa. It was just sort of... Ice Station Santa felt like it could have been Save the World Episode 7. You know what I mean? It felt like it was just more of what we saw in Save the World. And that's ultimately what I'll say about Beyond Time and Space. And I'll go more into detail on this later. The difference from Save the World to Beyond Time and Space is that Beyond Time and Space feels like more of a continuation of what we saw in Save the World, rather than Beyond Time and Space being a bit more of an improvement. It's not that it was a downgrade, it's just it was more of what we had seen. But going from Beyond Time and Space to the Devil's Playhouse was a true continuation. It's the difference of Mario, in layman's terms, it's the difference between Mario 1 and then Japanese Mario 2, where Japanese Mario 2 is just more of Mario 1, and something like Mario 1 compared to Mario 3, where Mario 3 is a massive improvement. It adds things. It's a big overhaul. There's a lot more to Mario 3. And in the same way, there's a lot more to the Devil's Playhouse. And that's exceptionally obvious in the penal zone. Penal. There are better jokes. There's a cold open right in the middle of that action before it's revealed to be a flash forward. There are wacky and crazy new characters introduced. Skun'kape is such a funny villain. The fact that he is now the name of the company is great. He is the face of the company. That's how impactful of a villain he was. And Mojo Jojo is super fucking cool. I'm glad they got his voice actor to do Skun'kape's voice. The puzzles here are some of the most straightforward, linear, but still head scratchers. And I say that for all of the Devil's Playhouse. Yeah, Mojo Jojo's voice actor is Skun'kape. This also has some of the best jokes. Fucking, dude, the fucking, does the general want a banana? Ah, I see. Because I resemble your earthly gorillas, you assume that I want a banana. I'm glad earthlings are still so charmingly racist. Relax, buddy, we're just concerned about your potassium. That shit's funny. That's great. Dude, the Moleman vacation thing, fucking Harry winning the lottery, dude, Grandpa Stinky, like, eventually getting Harry's lottery ticket. This is a great opening in the weirdest way possible. The penal zone does everything Ice Station Santa didn't. Yup, and the introduction of the Toys of Power. I said this before, but it's a very Symphony of the Night kind of move, and that is the only game I can really reference that does that. I guarantee there are other games that do it, but where they show you a sneak peek of this is how powerful you can be. Now start from square one. I think that's cool, and they do it really well in the penal zone. They give you almost every toy of power and then say, all right, time to go find it. That was the wrong face, but it's like, you know, go find it. What's wrong with the gorilla guy that made Sam and Max worry about his potassium? Look, dude was traveling in a spaceship for God knows how long. You know, he's not, you know, how do they know he's carrying bananas? Yep, Metroid Dread, which I actually need to play. Maybe I should play it on stream. Penal Zone does everything that something like Ice Station Santa should have done. And I hate to shit on Ice Station Santa so much, but my God, when you have something like the Penal Zone stacked up to it, I mean, come on. This gets a... I don't want to put it in an S tier. I'll put it in a high A tier. In fact, you know what? I'm bringing this up. I know I'm not doing the reorganizing yet, but good lord. Penal Zone is a high A tier, maybe a low S tier. We'll figure it out later. The Tomb of Salmon Mac. I like the Tomb of Salmon Mac. I think this is a really... hey guys, guess what? I think this is a really funny episode. Max is psychic. I literally saw how he dies, but only now yeah, Max has psychic powers for some reason. That is the quote from Sam. That is literally what Sam says at the beginning of the penal zone. It's He's literally on the call with the commissioner. He's like, Max has psychic powers for some reason. Yeah, Sam and Max, oh god, what is it? Sam and Mac is handsome, Sam and Mac is cute. When we think of Sam and Mac, we give a big salute. The Tomb of Sam and Mac is great. Literally, in my opinion, the greatest gameplay change-up they did to the entire thing. This is such a cool mechanic. Being able to go through different film reels of Samus and Maximus is awesome. This is genuinely such an ingenious idea. Literally, you go into later film reels to go back to earlier ones to figure out answers to puzzles. You figure out what the toy is that you need to tell the elves in the first film reel, and when you watch the third one or play through the third film reel. That shit's insane! It's so good, and it's so funny. Dude, the moles are really great. The best part too with Sam and Mac is the great Sam and Mac himself. Exactly. Even though we don't get to really interact with Sam and Mac until they stole Max's brain. But holy shit, they absolutely, like, they knock the comedy out of the park, and they knock the gameplay out of the park. Yes, the film reel mechanic is what makes me love this episode. This is one of those episodes where I would easily go back and play it for the mechanics alone. Like, I will genuinely go back and play the Tomb of Sam and Mac just to play around with all the sorts of shit. Like, my god. It is so, like, ingenious to think of how they do this. It's in a very weird way. I love it. Yeah, a whole game that's built off of the Tomb of Sam and Mac's gameplay style would be awesome. Exactly. Yeah, I'm really dying. Also, just Sam and Max's great-grandpas being named Samuth and Maximus is so dumb, but that's perfect. Also, fucking the fucking Amelia Earhart kid, like the Lost Child, the fucking Lindbergh baby parody. That shit's great. And there's lore, dude. There's fucking lore. You find out this is where fucking Jurgen gets turned into a vampire. Fucking Santa Claus, or, you know, Kris Kringle. Fucking, dude, this shit's insane. The parodies of, like, you know, downtown New York City during the early 1900s. The elves being fucking stand-ins for Italian stereotypes of, like, Italian immigrants. And the fucking, the moles essentially being like, what was it? They're like a ton of shit, apparently. The most obvious, in my opinion, being like a sort of a parody of Romani immigrants. Holy shit. Exactly. This episode stands on par with the great Sam and Mac. Praise Sam and Mac for giving us this episode. Yeah, exactly. Jurgen's been handed fucking shit deals around Sam and Max for years. Also, small detail. Small detail. Little thing. But skun'kape, the devs at skun'kape revealed that in the original concept art, rather, Max was actually supposed to have an extra detail that never came to fruition. And the reason it never came to fruition was due to limitations. This was, if I can find it. Come on, where is it? I know what I'm looking for, I just need to find it. Yes, that's exactly what it is. I just want to find the image. Oh, maybe I found it? No, I did not. Oh, maybe. Yes, okay. Well, I didn't find the concept sketch. But in the original release of the Tomb of Sam and Mac, they do not give Max this little flat cap he has. It was always supposed to be there, however, and I think it is a great addition. He looks so fucking cute. Look at Maximus. He looks great. Oh, I found it. I found the concept sketch. This was a real concept sketch made for Sam and Max, the Tomb of Sam and Mac from the Devil's Playhouse. Oh my god, they do so right by Maximus. I love how he looks here. He's great. He's wonderful. Tomb of Salmon Mac is a fun chapter. Fuck it, it's going in S tier. Would I say it's better than Abe Lincoln Must Die? He does look like an adorable little urchin. I think for the gameplay mechanics alone, the Tomb of Salmon Mac has to go into a high S tier. You guys ready for me to piss off the entire Salmon Max fandom? They Stole Max's Brain has the strongest opening for any Salmon Max game. For any Salmon Max episode. It has an insane open and introduces some of the coolest gameplay that Salmon Max has seen. The interrogations, the ability to go around, questioning, threatening, accusing people of lying, everything. All the characters you interact with. It's great. You get to mess with people. Max being dead and Sam wondering what he's going to do in his life without Max. Knowing that he can get him back, but not knowing where or how. Having to track down every last little detail. Becoming the ultimate gumshoe. The ultimate investigator. To figure out the most ridiculous crime via the most ridiculous channels of evidence. Being able to piece everything together in the most ridiculous way possible. Ultimately culminating into one of the craziest endings of all time. And it's completely thrown off kilter by one of the weakest second acts. I'm so sorry to say, but this episode drops off in quality. Not the hardest, but in a manner that is hard enough for me to definitively say, I don't like the part of this episode when Salmon Mac changes the world. As much as haha, Salmon Mac is handsome, Salmon Mac is cute, when we think of Salmon Mac, we give a big salute. The difference between the beginning and end of this episode is so strong and so polarizing that the beginning half of this episode completely overshadows the second half. There are good moments. There's funny bits. There's great moments even. Max's Brain in a Jar is great. I love it. I think it's awesome. The Salmon Max dynamic being challenged after Salmon Max changes reality is awesome. But man, I hate to say it, but once Salmon Mac gets introduced and changes the world, everything from the earlier part of this episode gets completely abandoned. And that's what makes this episode great. We get to see Sam's grief. We get to see Sam destroy. Well, hell, we see Sam basically go through the stages of grief in such a real manner. Yeah, it's ridiculous and it's done with a lot of comedic undertones, but man, the complete tonal shift doesn't ruin this episode, but it really, really makes what could have been the best episode of this season just that little bit less. Salmon Mac is funny. And I think that, you know, things like Monsieur Paperweight, which, hey, I totally forgot to mention, Monsieur Paperweight is probably one of my favorite NPCs introduced in this chapter, or in this season. I love Monsieur Paperweight, and I love his return in They Stole Max's Brain. We don't get to see what really became of him until Beyond the Alley of the Dolls, but man, I do like Monsieur Paperweight. He's fun. He's weird. I like him a lot. And hey, you guys want to know a fun fact that I learned? So, I stopped by the live stream that Breakthrough T1D was doing of Salmon Max. And I asked a question, or I talked about Paperweight. And it was revealed that there's actually an employee at Telltale who was the inspiration for Monsieur Paperweight. Monsieur Paperweight is a real person. In fact, for Halloween, and I need to find it, I know I sent it to Striped, Monsieur Paperweight The man who inspired him dressed up as him for Halloween. This is a real photo that was shown on Breakthrough T1D's stream, which was being co-hosted by one of the former, by one of the people who formerly worked on Sam and Max. I think this guy was part of the accounting or finance team. This was the inspiration for Monsieur Paperweight. This was his Halloween costume. You can see the resemblance, and for me, it's the eyebrows. I'm not gonna lie, for me, it's the eyebrows. Yeah, the banning credit cards, that's funny. The toasters, that's funny. The Sam and Mac section of They Stole Max's Brain brings it down. And it's really conflicting me, because I want to put this in A, but if I do, it's the lowest tier A. It's below the is it below the mole, the mob, and the meatball? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm putting Mole in the Mob and the Meatball, high B tier. I'm putting They Stole Max's Brain in A tier. But that's the thing. It is the weakest section of that episode. But the problem is, it's the whole second half. If it was the last third, I wouldn't mind it as much. I'd put this easily in a high A, for the noir shit alone. The fact that it takes up the entire second half of the episode brings it down. Because it's just not as endearing. I said it when I was done and when I was talking about my overview of the game of the Devil's Playhouse. But it feels like they had two separate episode ideas that they could kind of stitch together, so they decided to. Instead of expanding one, they just didn't have enough material for either Noir Sam or Sam and Mac, and they just needed to bridge that gap, and they said, screw it, let's put it in its own episode. And what resulted is a great first half. The best first half. And a weak second half. If it was its own episode, if They Stole Max's Brain was its own episode, right? The first part, S tier. No doubt about it. And if the second half was its own episode, maybe you get a B tier. Maybe you get a high B tier. Combining them together, I gotta split the difference. I gotta split the difference between a high S tier and a high B tier and go with a low A tier. That's just generally where I stand. And hey, a low A tier, still a really high compliment. I mean, good lord, we could have been a lot meaner. But this episode could have been a lot worse. That's the thing. That's why it goes right here in the low A tier. Because it still has a lot of quality moments. Even the Sam and Mac moments, the second half has a lot of great moments. It's just... I really wish they just stuck to Noir Sam, man. The second half just really just has a drop in quality. Wonder what having your brain stolen is like? I don't know. You want to find out? Beyond the Alley of the Dolls, I feel like doesn't get talked about enough. Because you want to talk about cold opens that are fucking hilarious? Oh my god, Beyond the Alley of the Dolls is so good. The Sam clones, the Samulacra, the Doppelgangers. They're good. They're really good. There's a lot of funny bits in this episode. I also forgot to mention, where does she come back in? I think it might be the Penal Zone. It might be Beyond the Alley. It's the Penal Zone. Dr. Mama Bosco. Easily the best she's been in this entire franchise so far. And Beyond the Alley of the Dolls, even more so. You really get to pick at Dr. Mama Bosco's brain. You also finally get to use all the toys of power in Beyond the Alley of the Dolls. This has my favorite joke in Sam and Max, which is Bluster Blaster screaming about the Samulacra. Those are real? Holy Mother of God! I love that shit. That's great. We get to really meet and interact with Sal after getting introduced to him and They Stole Max's Brain, which just love Sal, dude. Sal's great. Sal's awesome. I'm still leaving that in a low A tier. Sal's great, but he's even better in Beyond the Alley of the Dolls. I love Sal. I love Beyond the Alley of the Dolls. I think it has some of the best jokes. I think the reveal of who's behind all this, fucking Charlie Hotep. Charlie Hotep. You know what? Dare I say, that is one of the best twists. That is essentially the same as the twist in Moai Better Blues, but just that little bit better. Well, I saw they returned in the City That Dares... The Samulacra aren't in the City That Dares Not Sleep, I think. Charlie Hotep is a great villain. I love Charlie Hotep as a villain. The ending. the ending. I like the concept. It's just a little too obtuse. I wish there was a bit more. Oh god, fucking More Than Jerks is playing again. I'm just gonna skip that. I just think that if the piano bit was just a little more straightforward, I really had to scratch my head about what the fuck to do during that during that final part. I got there eventually, but that was definitely a bit more of an obtuse section. Was in the Stole Max's brain, not to it. Yeah, no, I totally get it. Yeah, it's just a little too out there. But you know what? Charlie Hotep is great. That final battle between Max and Charlie Hotep, that shit's awesome. That's a great final fight. I love it. I really do. I find it fun. That's a good puzzle in my opinion. That's a really good puzzle. Being able to kind of like make Sam think of something and then using those thought projections to, oh, it's so cool. And hell, that ending where Max dies and comes back to life before it's revealed that he's transforming into the beast we see him in the city that dares not sleep. What a great ending. I think this is where we finally get it revealed that Dr. Norrington is is Yog Sothoth, and he's inside. He's basically fucking total recalling with Monsieur Paperweight. That shit's great. I love Dr. Norrington. He's a funny character. I think he's awesome. Beyond the Alley of the Dolls is great, but I think it suffers from a little bit of What's New Beelzebub, where there's a lot of solid shit, but I feel like there are less memorable moments. Dare I say this might be the weakest episode of The Devil's Playhouse. That's not the worst thing, because this still has a lot of really good moments. Again, Dr. Norrington's reveal, Monsieur Paperweight really gets a lot out of it. Max finally getting to use all the toys of powers. Charlie Hotep, Sal, Bluster Blaster's really great line. The Samuel Lockwood, the Doppelgangers. Just, there was a lot of really good stuff. Mama Bosco getting brought back to life. It's just that, again, it's a solid chapter. I'd rank it above They Stole Max's Brain. Hell, I'd rank it above The Bright Side of the Moon. I don't think I'd rank it above Night of the Raving Dead. It's a great chapter. It's a great episode, rather. It's a wonderful episode. I don't know. There's something there that would have made it just that little bit more that would have definitely shot up against these two. But I think putting it mid-A tier is still fair and fine and good and fun. But everything comes down to the city that dares not sleep. Talk about an episode that really made you feel like you were figuring shit out. The ultimate culmination of everything Sam and Max. Everything was coming up to this point. And it was bringing everything together. From a great opening where you have to make a giant corn dog, to Sybil being 14 months pregnant, to you going inside of Max to take control of his individual body parts, to the small things like the references to Sam and Max Hit the Road and Save the World and Beyond Time and Space. Save Sybil. And the biggest twist that the narrator, who you've been interacting with since episode 1, was Max's super ego personified, is incredible. A spiteful manifestation of Max wanting to be better, so ultimately deciding the only way to do that was to basically end Max? Yeah. We finally got to see where Max kept all his stuff. Exactly, we got to see his inventory. The City That Dares Not Sleep is the perfect way to send off these characters. There is an incredible video essay, and I need to find who made it. But it's called, hold on, Sam and Max, The Devil's Playhouse. It is called, Why Sam and Max, The Devil's Playhouse was their best adventure, created by a guy named B-Mask. Find that video. It was released 4 years ago, and it has 400,000 views. Find that video. Watch it. Because it is the chapter, if I say chapter one more time, it mainly, it talks about everything. It talks about they stole Max's brain, Beyond the Alley of the Dolls, Sam and Mac, Penal Zone. But it really references the city that dares not sleep. Because this is exactly what, this asks the question rather, what is Sam without Max? There is no way to save him. What is Sam without his little buddy? Who are these characters individually? How do they operate while not being able to directly connect with each other? What is a Sam without his Max? What happens when you take away the off-the-wall insanity that is Max? You're left with a Sam with nothing to ground. A more grounded, it's still insane, but a more grounded character who bridges the gap between the insanity of all of this. All of this. Someone who has acted as a translator for the madness that happens all the way from culture shock to Beyond the Alley of the Dolls up to this point. Somebody who acts as a mediator now has nothing to mediate. Sure, there's still craziness. There's still crooks to maim and crime to stop, but what's the point if there's no madness in Max? What's the point if there's no Max? Sam's biggest goal in this episode is to save Max. And by the end of it, that all gets thrown out the window. Max has to die in order for this episode to be as impactful as it is. The goodbye is genuinely upsetting, but not in a bad way. It's upsetting in a good way, because it really makes you feel for these characters. It makes you feel for Sam and Max. You've been with these characters as they've stopped child actors, former child actors, from being hypnotized into this weird hypno cult. You've seen them win game shows and stop evil fucking talk show hosts. You've seen them take on the mole mafia, or the toy mafia rather. You've seen them enter reality 2.0. You've seen them stop the evil Hugh Bliss, take on Santa Claus and the evil, the shambling corporate presence. You've seen them take on the end of the world. You've seen them take on vampire twinks. You've seen them take on time traveling Mexicans. You've seen them take on the devil himself, space gorillas, what would you call this? Film! You've seen them take on film! Documentary pictures! You've seen them take on what happens when you remove the Max from himself. You've seen them take on what happens when Max gets to the epitome of what he is destined to become. And you see what happens when you take it all away. The City That Dares Not Sleep was the only way they could have done these characters a finite justice. A finale to rival every other finale in Sam and Max. One that completely overshadows Bright Side of the Moon and What's New Beelzebub. And, of course, you gotta bring Max back. That ending, after the credits roll, where Max is revealed to have come back via time traveling from a future where Sam is the one with psychic powers, is incredible. The fan interpretations of that, where there's an alternate Sam and Max from the different timelines going to hell and reuniting, is great. It's wonderful. I love it so much. The City That Dares Not Sleep opens the door. Well, no, sorry. It closes the door on all of this, but it leaves it open just a crack so that we never really are separated from these characters for good. City That Dares Not Sleep is the best thing to come from Sam and Max. It is the best episode. It has the best story progression, the best puzzles, the best character interactions, some of the most genuinely emotional moments. I love The City That Dares Not Sleep. Exactly. Beyond the Alley of the Dolls puts Max at his peak before completely destroying him in The City That Dares Not Sleep. So, What have we learned? We've learned that Sam and Max got a lot better as time went on. Yes, there are your reality 2.0s, your Ice Station Santas, your situation comedies, your Moai Better Blues, and even your Culture Shocks, Mole Mob Meatballs, Chariots of the Dogs, and What's New Beelzebubs. But even from the beginning, you had your Bright Side of the Moons, you had your Abe Lincoln's Must Dies, and you had your Night of the Raving Dead. But my God, the Devil's Playhouse was just perfect. I genuinely loved the Devil's Playhouse. I love all these games. Don't get it twisted. I don't hate any of the Sam & Max games. That's why the ranking is only as low as D. Because there is still something great to be found in these chapters. These episodes, rather. Even if they're not the best, even if I had plenty to complain about, there is still a plenty bit that is to be found within even the lesser of the episodes. It's just that they really found their footing by the time they got to the end. And that's not a bad thing. It creates a wonderful final experience. But maybe it doesn't have to be final, skun'kape. Sam & Max is a wonderful franchise. I genuinely enjoy it. I literally have, like, nothing bad to say about it. And these games are why. Playing through these on my... Yeah, Penny. Playing through these games on stream was a magical experience. And reminiscing in this stream was just as magical. I love these. I love these episodes. Now it's just time to see how confident do I feel. To say that Dares Not Sleep is definitely peak, in my opinion. I think it is the best of the Sam & Max episodes of any Sam & Max episode. And I feel comfortable saying that The Tomb of Sam & Max is second and Abe Lincoln Must Die follows that up. Yeah, absolutely. The Penal Zone, haha, penal. I do think it belongs in a high A tier. Maybe low S tier, but I think it teeters just enough on a high A tier that I wouldn't put it at a low S tier. It almost crosses the boundary, but I feel more comfortable putting it in a high A tier. There's a lot that's really well introduced here, but I think something like Abe Lincoln Must Die is just a little bit more perfect. It's a situation of if I had the choice between, if I could save either Abe Lincoln Must Die or the Penal Zone from being deleted, like, from the internet. Like, every copy of, like, one of these games is deleted and there's no way to get it back. I'd pick Abe Lincoln Must Die. This is a refresher, but it's done much better than Culture Shock or Ice Station Santa. But it is still a refresher. Following that up with Night of the Raving Dead? Yeah, I would say so. That's a good chapter. That's a really good chapter. I would say it's definitely not as good as the Penal Zone. So, yeah. Beyond the Alley of the Dolls. Yeah, I'd say it belongs there. It's not as good as Night of the Raving Dead, but it is better than Bright Side of the Moon, in my opinion. As much as Bright Side of the Moon does have some really standout moments. I mean, God, I love World of Max, but Beyond the Alley of the Dolls is just that little bit more, you know? And I will confidently say Bright Side of the Moon is better than They Stole Max's Brain.
Max builds up his powers over the whole series. He reaches full power and beyond the Alley of the Dolls, but he doesn't get to enjoy this power for long, for he becomes infused with dark matter in time.
Yep, in time for the Say That Dares Not Sleep, ending his demise. It's truly poetic. It is. It's very poetic. It's almost like coming full circle from the Penal Zone, where you get all of his powers just to lose control of him, where before you got all the powers just to lose them. So are you more upset that you lost all the toys of power, or upset that you lost Max? But yeah, the Sam & Max portion of They Stole Max's Brain brings us down just a little bit, just below Bright Side of the Moon. I'm sorry for all the people that love They Stole Max's Brain. That second half, it doesn't do it for me. I think I'm actually going to put Culture Shock above the Mold Mob and the Meatball. I find there's more okay stuff in Mold Mob and the Meatball, while Culture Shock, it does its job. And it's fun. it reintroduces Sam and Max to a whole different, like, again, after almost 10 years, it really reintroduces them in a fun, engaging, endearing way. Mob and the Meatball is fun, but I'd pick Culture Shock. Again, situation of if I had to save one of these from being deleted, I'd save Culture Shock. You say I've been more upset losing the Toys of Power. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Chariots of the Dogs just kind of belongs in that mid-B tier. It's, again, fine. There's a lot of fun stuff in it. There's a lot of really iconic moments. Mama Bosco, finding out who THEM are, Super Bowl's birthday. There's a lot of cool shit. Yeah, it's just kind of a mid-B tier episode. What's new, Beelzebub? A stronger, well, no, not a stronger ending. Yeah, I guess just one of the weaker endings. In fact, the weakest ending to any of the seasons. Still fun though. I like it. I think it has a lot of good jokes. But again, they kind of knew that Satan wasn't really that much of a standout character because they really just kept him for the beginning of the City That Dares Not Sleep and never used him between then. Reality 2.0 is fine. Situation comedy is fine. They're not great. They're okay though. They're fun. I don't hate them. I wouldn't go out of my way to play them. And yeah, I hate to say it, but the first 2 episodes of Beyond Time and Space, they don't leave bad impressions. But I wouldn't save either of them in the whole, they're getting deleted from the internet, what do you do situation. But with that, I say that's this tier list done. I think we've made a pretty damn good tier list of Sam and Max episodes. I think we've talked in depth and discussed about them enough. So I'm going to go back to the chatting screen. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to download that image. You can find this going up on my Twitter page. There we go. So yeah, like I said, I think there was a solid good bit of discussion. If you guys disagree with my list, like I said, Ember's cut off. Yes. Like I said, if you guys do disagree with my list, you can actually find this tier list because I've uploaded as a public tier list that anyone can access on tiermaker.com. Just look up Sam and Max Telltale / skun'kape tier list, and you should be able to find it. But, so go ahead and make your own. If you want to share it on Twitter, tag me, whatever you do. If you want me to see it, and I'll be happy to take a look, and hell, maybe we can discuss in your replies, and we can hate each other, and we can never speak again. But with all that being said and done, I do want to thank you all so much for watching. If you're subscribed, which if you're not, you should definitely consider doing so. Get a bunch of cool emotes, you get to skip the ads, and you get to support me directly. You know that our raid message is Rabbit Raid. We're going to go raid, I actually do have someone in mind. We're going to go raid Mushroom Gob Medu. An absolute sweetheart who I've been talking with more. Oh my god. Absolute fucking sweetie. With an amazing model to boot. She is adorable. Like, y'all, if you don't know her, you're gonna love her. Oh shit, damn! SiriBot was ready! Oh my god! Yeah, hi, I added SiriBot and my god, that was on... Maybe we don't need bot spotted anymore. I'm kidding. But again, with all that being said and done, I do want to thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for understanding I've been having some scheduling conflicts. I appreciate you all understanding that I needed to leave earlier during this stream. But yeah, with all that said and done, next time, I think, let's see, what do I have planned next? I may be able to push Majora's Mask to either tomorrow or Thursday, depending on things. But if not, I will see you guys on Friday for Mario Maker 2, where I will be attempting the Iron Bros challenge. If you don't know what that is, I'll explain it on Friday. But for the time being, again, I want to thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, see y'all at the next stream. Go say hi to Medu. She's an absolute sweetie. Bye!